is the day that we've all been waiting for, April 13th. It's time to get started on the ultimate picnic quilt. Hi, Kathy here from Kathy's Cute Creations. So you saw the piece of paper that I had laid down there. That's in case you're just joining for the first time. This is a free pattern from Fort Worth Fabric Studios. It is called Ultimate Picnic Quilt. It's going to be 48 by 48. It's going to take us 6 weeks. On week 6, we're going to do the assembly. Today, I'm going to break my video into 2 different parts. The first part is going to be cutting all of the fabric. Then we're going to do the very first blocks. And if you note on your paperwork, if you don't want to cut all your fabric out, some people don't like to do that. They like to just cut it as they go along. If you look at your paper that you've got, which you can download, and go down here where it says, just so that it's easy for you to read, Fabric B, it tells you what to cut out, and at the very tail end, the last sentence says, save for week 2. That's telling you that that fabric is going to be used. I'm going to put it up here so you can see it. That's to be used for week 2. Hopefully that, do you see it there? I'm hoping that it's focused on it. Back it up a little bit. Alrighty, so let's begin. Here's my directions. And this is how I have it set up. Let's make sure y'all can see it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out fabric A first, so I got it on the top, then B, then C, and I'm going to go right in that order. So let me put A on the table here first. Get this off to the chair. There we go with A. And it says that we are supposed to take A, which is 1 yard and 4 inches. And I'm going to need to go put the iron to it. So I will iron each one of these. I do not starch. If you starch, please go ahead and do it now. Alrighty, so to begin with, I take my fabric, I lay it on my table, and I will go ahead and line it up on a line right here. Not that I'm using the line for measurement. I'm just doing it to put my fabric on here. Then I'm going to square it up, so I'm going to take, and I want to make sure that my ruler is off the bottom as well as the top of the fabric. I put it on a line here, so I can take and get this straight. And since this is going at a diagonal, it's a smaller amount of fabric up there than it is down here. So I want to make sure that it goes right up to the edge and it catches both pieces, and it does. Now I put a weight on it because I don't have enough strength to hold it down over here. And then I'm going to take this edge off. And then we're going to cut. The first thing it says is we're going to cut a 9-inch strip, and then we're going to be subcutting that. So the first thing I do is I get another ruler, and I use all the same rulers. And in this case, I'm using the Creative Grids. And what I want to use is a ruler larger than 9 inches. And you can either use one like this, or if you only have something like this, then you can use that. As long as it's 9 inches or more. And this is a 10-inch. So you put your number 1 here, for those that have never done this before. And you put your 9 on the line. And in my case, I always make sure that the black line on the number 9 is actually on the fabric. I don't have it off of the fabric. That gives me a little extra when I cut. And then what I'm going to do is I will go up the length of my fabric to make sure it stayed on it. And then I'm going to come down the length of my fabric to make sure it did. This way I know that my fabric is not off. It's still on there. So this here is 9 inches. And before I started this, I went ahead and I changed out my blades. And I did that early this morning, and of course I cut my finger right off the bat. So then I stopped for the day because I had to let my finger heal. And then I got online and I ordered a pair of gloves, like Fonz and Porter gloves, so that this won't happen again, because this is twice, I think, within a 6-month period that I've cut my hand on a blade. And I was actually paying attention. So, gosh, I don't know what would happen if I hadn't been paying attention. But it healed enough that it's not aggravating me to be able to do this. So now we're going to take this here and we're going to subcut it. And we're going to make 2 9-inch squares, and they're going to be used for week 2, and then we're going to cut 12 4x4 squares, which we're going to set aside for week 1. So let me do that first. So I just move this aside, and now I'm going to cut off the selvage, which has little dots on it, which I don't know if you can see the dots. There's some little dots right here, right along this edge here. You don't want to use that in your fabric. This is when I grab a smaller ruler. Oh, my other rulers, let's see here. Go with this one here. And then I'm lining it up here at the bottom of the fabric, just like I did before, making sure I have all those dots. There we go. And now we're going to need 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut 2 of them. Now I'm right-handed, so I'm going to go over this way with it. So I'm lining up my ends. And I'm just going to cut 2 of these. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go this way here. My number 1 is here, all the way to 9. And just like before, I'm going to put it on the fabric. And in this case, I have a line up here. And I'm going to bring it down so that I can make sure this is squared off, because if it's not, then I will go and square it after I get done here. So that's going to be a 9x9, and it's 2 of them because it's folded over. And this is white on white, so this is directional fabric, so you want to make sure both your fabrics are face up. Now that's how you subcut. And then what I'm going to do is, because I'm going to have to keep track of week 1 and week 2, is I'm going to put a piece of paper with a pin on it so I know which week is which week. Now the way that I mark my fabric is I wrote week 1 and I wrote 2 9x9. Now I'm going to bring the camera a little closer to show you the next cut, because I realize I'm far away. I'm trying a different way to set my camera up. So let me do that. Okay. I just realized I wrote week 1 on this piece of paper, so I changed it to week 2 real quick. Now we want to utilize our fabric. Now keep in mind, this was a 9-inch. Okay, so from here to here it's 9-inch. Now we need 12 4-inch. So out of one 4-inch strip, if I move this over to 4, I'm getting 2 and 2. I have 2 pieces of fabric here. So I'm going to go to my 4-inch and square it up first. Then I'm going to, that's 4, move it aside. Do the next 4, move it aside. Okay, and 4. Now, I have 2 pieces of fabric. You saw it come up. So that is 4, 4, 4, which is our 12. I'm not going to stack them. And there'll be a little bit left over, because remember, this is 9 inches. So we're going to do 4 inches. And this is called subcutting. There's 1. So that's 2 pieces. Here's 4 pieces. 6, 8, 10, and 12. Alrighty, so at this point I don't know how much I'm going to need in the way of design board. So this is my design board. I made this a long time ago. I went ahead and put the week 1 4-inch squares on my board. So I will pile up the next project that we're doing, which is our first block. Okay, and I don't need to mark it. Go ahead and finish up the white, which is A. We're going to go to B, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. So the first thing I'm going to do, because we know that there is no straight edge on here. So what I do is I'm going to turn it sideways, and I'm going to straighten one of these edges. And I'm going to base my configuration on this fabric down here at the bottom. It's the best I can do, but I'm also going to eyeball it. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to line it up based on the bottom of the line across our selvage here. And then I'm going to take off this excess right here, so that I will know that the bottom of my fabric is straight. And then to measure this, let's see, what does it say? When you read B, it's not saying to cut 4 3-inch strips. It's just saying to literally cut 4 pieces that are 3 by 5.5. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to cut a 3-inch strip. So we're going to cut one 3-inch strip first. It might help if I get on the 3-inch strip, the 3-inch line, huh? Okay, there's my 3 inches. Just put my weight down. So there's my 3-inch strip. Now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take off the edge here. And let me turn it this way, because this, well, either end, it doesn't make any difference, but I'm going to feel more comfortable doing it on this side. Let me get you a little closer. Now I'm lining up my ruler down here at the bottom, just like I did when I was squaring it up on the white fabric. Same thing, because I have not squared. Okay, I took that little piece off. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn it around. And then the paperwork says we want 3 by 5.5, and we want 3 of them. 1, 2, 3.5. Ooh, and I don't like this 3.5, so let's go this way, because I don't like to cut through that. So I'm going to turn it sideways here, and here's my 3 mark, and I'm getting it squared, and I'm doing it wrong already because it's 3 by 5.5. Okay, go down here. This is why you got to double check. Make sure you're doing it right. I know y'all were probably going, wait, don't cut that off, Kathy. All right, so there is 3 by 5.5. And it wants 4 of them, so there's 1. And if you need to put, which I have seen people do, put washi tape across this 5.5 so that you know where to stop with it, so you don't accidentally jip yourself and do 5 inches. I've done that before. If you feel better with the washi tape, by all means, go ahead and do that. That'll help you out a bit. All right, there's 3. So I know I can't get it out of that fabric. So now I have to cut another strip. All right, let's make sure it, there we go. So that's how much you're going to have left over when you're finished. This little bitty strip right here. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to cut my edge off. And the way that I do it is I go and I'm squaring it off down here. That's what I'm looking for. Take that off right there. And then I want 5.5. And then there's my 4. We want 4 3.5-inch squares. And we're going to save all these for week 5. So the first thing I do is I'm going to take my little scratch piece here, or my little leftover piece, not scratch. And I'm going to do 3 inches on this one first. So there's 1. Boy, that's some soft fabric too. And it wants 4 of them. Okay, and then the next thing it says is it wants 1 2-inch square. So we're going to cut the 2 inches first. It's already 3, so we know we got it big enough. So we're going to go 2, and we're going to turn it, and we're going to do 2 more. I mean, one more 2-inch cut there. Square it up. And there's my 2-inch right there. And here's my leftover fabric right there. So now for our fabric C, we're going to go ahead and square it up just like before. And let's see. So this is measuring out at approximately 10.5 inches. We're going to have 2 9-inch squares. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it in half, and then I'm going to cut off the selvages. What's the first thing I'm going to do? 9 in, because remember now you got to keep your ruler on both ends of the fabric. You want them to come off. So I'm going 9 inches. Keeping it on my fabric. There. Let's move this aside. This is going to be 2 pieces for our 9. We're going to turn it. We just cut this, so we're going to square it first and cut off the right side. Let's see, how much have we got? Okay, so we got to go a little bit over to get all of that edge. All right. Then I'm going to do 9 inches this direction. And as you notice, I'm keeping part of my hand is off of this ruler for stability so it doesn't slide. Now this is my 2 9-inch squares, and it's okay that I got a little bit of that white because that is going to be in the 1/4 inch. And then I've already got this marked. Week 2 is 2 pieces of 9 by 9. And then the next thing is, out of the remaining fabric, we're going to cut 8 3 by 5.5. So we need strips. So let's square this off first. Okay. Now I'm not using this for my measurement. I'm just strictly using it for squaring it up. Because you know my comment is usually, or normally I'll tell you to use all the same ruler, but if you're just going to be cutting off an edge, it won't make a difference. I'm not doing an actual measurement with it. And now we're going to do 3 inches. And let's see here. So I need a 3-inch strip. So there's 3 inches. Double check, make sure that is what the directions say. It says 8 of them. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this on here. Okay, let's cut the strip. you can tell that you're not going to get 8 out of this one strip. So let's cut another strip. There's 4, 6, and I need 8 of them. There's 8. And then it's telling us that we need to cut 4 3x3. So let's see, what do we have here? I can get a 3 out of here. 1, 2, and I need 2 more. So I'm going to need to cut another strip, but since I only need 2 more, I'm going to go like this. See if I can get the darn thing up here. There we go. I'm going to cut off an end. Got it lined up really well. And I'm going to go 3 inches. I'm going to take it off the end here. And then I'm going to flip it and measure it 3 inches. And that gives me my next 2. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I always take them and I'll turn them right side up because I want to be prepared when I get ready to sew that I don't have to flip them. And then we're going to go to fabric D. And we're going to do the same thing. Now, I have my week 5. I went ahead and I wrote it on my paper. I read it off the sheet because these 2 are for week 5. This width of this strip is about 5 inches, and I only need a 4-inch square. I need 8 4-inch squares, so all I'm going to do is take off my selvage for starters. I don't need to square this up. This is big enough since I only need a 4-inch square. And I'm going to turn it around and square it up. Actually, I'm not squaring it up. I'm just making 4-inch cuts. Then I'll square it afterwards. My first one will be straight. So that's a 4. So that's 2. And I need 4. I need 8. There's 4. I'm going to have to move it here because I'm going to be coming to 2 mats. 6. And then 8. That aside. And now I can square it up. Now just turn them all that direction. Now, because we have specific instructions on how to make this, or excuse me, to cut this out, when it comes time to do a half square triangle, because you know all these have half square triangles in them, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a different way if you're using your own fabric instead of this, because I don't know how much of an allowance at this point because I haven't done the pattern. So as soon as I find out how much allowance there is, I'll explain that to you. Now for the next one, this is E. We're going to go ahead and we're going to make 2 4x4s. Let's do that. I got it right the first time. I went ahead and I've already squared this up since this is a little bitty piece. it says we need 2 for week 1. There's 1, and there's 2. Guess I better point it the right direction, huh? It's my 12 and a half. And I got my lines on there. So that's my 12 and a half. There we go. There's my 12 and a half. There we go. So here's my 12 and a half inch square. Set this aside. And it said we also needed, that's week 2, and we need a 4x4, 2 4x4s for week 1. So we're going to take this, and we're going to cut off 4. Go. I'm going to go ahead and square this end off. And we're going to do our 4. By 4. There we go. So that's week 1. And this is week 2. And now we are done with half of the side of our piece of paper. And this is what mine looks like now that I'm finished with it. I'll give you an idea. So this is how I keep track of mine. I'm gonna have to, there you go. See where I put the lines? That's the fabric A, and then I got all the little X's that shows I've got it done. And that's what I do to keep track of it. Instead of the right, I'm trying this angle now. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna start on the right-hand column of our paper. So this is fabric G, and hopefully my hands aren't going to be in the way. Let me go ahead and get it squared up. They're asking for one piece that's 12 and a half by 12 and a half, and we're going to keep that for square, for week 2. So let me first, let's do this first. So let's go ahead. And I got my fabrics in the order that they're going to be pulled up here. I've got those ironed over there. Let's just go ahead and get this. Now this one's going to be a little hard to see because it is white at the bottom. But it looks good here. And I've changed my top because I'm starting this morning. I got tired last night. I had to quit. And now, to me, it's just a little bit chilly. I had a cup of coffee, but that doesn't last to heat me up for very long. So let's that. Alrighty. Now we're going to turn it around. I'm going to square it here. Now that I have a straight edge at the bottom. You guys can do the same thing. Alrighty. Now we can pull this off the table. Let's do 12.5. It's all the way up, yes, and yes, okay. We're going to turn it this way. A little bit off of here. And now I should be able to get it. I don't think that, let's go this way. $12.5 again. Yep, looks good. Here's my 12.5-inch block, and that is week 2. And the next is a 3x3-inch block. So I need to cut out a 3-inch strip, and we're going to go this way with it. Let's make sure I got it straight again. Inches. There we go. And they're wanting 4 of them, so let's see how many can I get out of here. I bet you I can only get 3. 1. And this is going to be off of here, so we're going to square it up to make sure. Okay, that side's good. It's this side that's off of here. Just a, whoop, for heaven's sakes. Just a smidgen. Okay. That's 3 of them. Now the good thing about 3 4-inch blocks, you can eventually make them into half square triangles for other projects when you have leftovers. whatever size you want to cut your block down, or you can cut it down to a 2.5 by 2.5 inch square too. That's a good size. Let me see if I'm even in the camera. I forgot to check that. Yeah, I am. Let's get a little closer here. I'm gonna have to stop and look at this to make sure that I'm in the camera, all of these shots. Alrighty, so now we have 4 of those. Alrighty, so both of these fabrics, which are H and I, are both going to have 2 7 by 7 inch squares, and they're going to both be held out for week 2. So what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stack them. I've already ironed them. I'm going to stack them up. They're approximately the same size. We're going to square them up together. Okay. Alrighty, I'm trying to get that glare off of there. I've rearranged all my tools now. There we go. Then we're going to turn it, and we're going to square this end. And I hope these lights don't glare off these rulers so bad. What was that? What made that noise? Now we're gonna cut them 7 inches. Here's one. Let's move this down. Gosh, those lights are practically blinding me. There's one. There's 2. So we have the 2 blue ones, 2 red striped ones, and H is, what is H? H is our blue. So I'm just going to stack them both like this so that I can see them, and then put my pen in, because I'm using this one piece of paper for both of them since they're both week 2. For J, I'm going to cut off the selvage first so that I can square it up. And of course I'm going to line it up with the fold down here. Six-inch strips, 2 of them, and then we're going to subcut them into 6 by 6. And this is a 6 right there. I'm gonna have to move it because my tripod is in the way. The next thing you know, I'm going to be hitting the camera. So let's go up a little bit here. I'll make sure you're in the lens before I cut this. I think I can get 2 of them. Let's see here. Let's line it up first. Be careful when you move your fabric so that you're not disturbing it and don't have to recut it to square it up. Which I think I just did. Did I? Let's see. Alright, I gotta get off with this line. Too deceiving. A little white line on my table here. Alright, now let's see if I can get it. A battle between the lines here. Remember that you want your ruler off of both ends. And if you have not broken down and invested in this 24.5-inch ruler, you really need one. I got a freebie from AccuQuilt. I had bought so many different dies that they sent me a rotary cutter and they sent me a brand new ruler. Well, I already donated that out, so I don't have the ruler nor the rotary cutter. I gave them both away because I've already got, not this wider ruler. This ruler is 8.5, but I've got the, what size is the ruler over here? Hold on. Oh no, maybe I didn't give away that AccuQuilt Go. Oh, I got 2 of them and gave 1 away. So I have a Fiskars, let me see if, which is this one here. That was one of my first rulers. And then this is what the Go sent me. Let me cut this first before I show you that because I think it's running into these rulers here and you're not able to see it. Put that 6-inch block here. I'll show you. But I know I gave the rotary cutter away because I don't even have it. Alright, let's move these out of the way. And then I'm going to show you. Pick this one up. I bought this one here, the Creative Grids. Okay. So, here's the Go. The AccuQuilt Go ruler, Fine Go products, and it tells you where. And that one is 23 across here. I mean 23 across. I'm sorry. The 23 lines. So this is a 24-inch ruler. And then it is 6-inch ruler. If you can read the 5 up there. I don't know. Even I'm having a hard time. There you go. But it's a great big huge long one. That's pretty nice. So whatever one I need, if I need more than one, I've got them. And then I do have another one. I'm trying to think of what I've done with it. I was using it for something. I think I have it over here holding something flat. And then of course I've got this one comes in handy also. You all have seen me use this. Let me get it here. This one here, which is 26 inches. Now this is where the blade is on here. And right now, let's see if we can, it's underneath this protective until you turn this dial here, which unlocks the blade and puts the blade right there. I don't know if you can see it or not. There's the blade right there. And then when you turn this, it says to lock it. Right now it's open, but when you turn it, this protective shield, now I can't get it to work here. Okay. Goes to the right, and when you turn it, it covers it. So that, because when you cut, you lay it like this and cut. And just all you do is you take it and you swipe it. And as you swipe it, this blade right here, which would be exposed, cuts your fabric. And it's got the little angles here at the end of it. Right here. Your 45, your 60, your 30. And this was from So Easy. Let me hold it up there for you. Okay. That's just to give you a little bit of information of the different ones I have. And I have that in 2 sizes, and that's the longest one I have. I think I got them on the shelf over there. Yeah, the little one is over on the shelf. Alrighty, so let's moving right along here. Let's take our first cut. Now remember, we've got this squared up. Make sure you're in the camera here, okay? And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut our 6 by 6, 11 of them for week 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my fabric this way, because this fits on there, just like that. We'll go down to 6 inches, and I'm squaring it up while I do it. You do this one of 2 ways. You can either go this direction, or you can go this direction. And 6 is this line here, because this is a 1/2 inch, the little clouded. And every time you take a swipe, you're doing 2. So there's 2 6 inches. Here's 4. Here's 6. And go ahead and do all of yours, and then we'll be back. Now it wants 4 squares, and they're for both of the weeks. It's 2 per week. They want 2 by 2s. 2. So there's a 2-inch strip. Keep in mind it's 2 pieces. 2 and 2 more. So here's 2, and here's 2. And I'm going to mark each one of them. So week 1, gets 2, and then week 5 gets 2. There we go. I went ahead and I took the next 2 fabrics and I squared them up. Y'all have seen me do that enough times. They're both going to end up being 2-inch squares. So I have K and L. At a K, they want 8 2-inch squares, and we're going to save it for week 2. And they want 4 of them for week 2 and 4 of them for week 6. So I wrote up my papers. So we're going to do 8 of these. And right now, all I did was squared up that side, took the edge off of here, and now I'm going to do 2-inch blocks. And I'll have to do this twice. I'm trying to think. Maybe I just ought to, let's make it a lot easier here. Let's just do 2 on the strip. Make sure I'm in the camera. As I put it too close. Let's see here. There we go. All right, let's do a 2-inch. And these are not going to line up, by the way. They're not straight by any means. If you want to straighten them, you can, but it's your fabric's going to be off. Alrighty, so there's 2 inches. Now, if you mess up and you don't get enough, because you know this won't be enough to do it. See, it's shorter than the 2. Use your own fabric. Alright, so let me go ahead and do this one. 2-inch squares. All these other rulers blinding us here. Where's my other little ruler? Here we go. And I'm squaring it up using this line right here and this one here and then that one. That's my 2. And then just cut them all out. You're going to have 8 of them when you're done. And now you're going to take your L and you're going to cut 4 of them. And if you want to fold your fabric in half, you can do that. Now, for our fabric F, we need a 12.5 by a 12.5 square for week 2. And we need 2 4 by 4 inch squares. So first off, let's square it up. That's the first thing I want to do. And like I said, I'm going to use this selvage down here for my line. And I'll get as close to the edge as I can so I don't lose that much fabric. Okay, so we're coming up to the last 4 pieces of fabric. This does not count R, which is your binding. So what I've got here is MNOP is what we're going to work with. M. They want 11 6 by 6 inch squares for week 3. N is the same thing. It's 11 6 by 6s. O is the same, 11 6 by 6 squares for week 3. So I'm going to show you how to do it one time with this. You're going to take your other 2 fabrics, which in my case, let me see if you can see them. Now, let me move the camera up a little bit. Okay. This piece here and this piece here are N-O. We're not going to do P now. That's going to be something else altogether. That's week 6. The blue gingham, the red with the white roses, and the fabric I have here, this blue, these 3 are all going to be 6 by 6, and there's going to be 11 pieces. So I'm going to show you on this one. I'm going to do the next 2, and then I'm going to come back for the last piece. Alrighty? So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to square this up on this end right here, just like we've been doing. And I've lined it up with the fold of my fabric. Now, if you're not new, you're used to this, you can layer all 3 of those fabrics. I am not going to do that. So I'm going to run this over here, and it needs to be 6 inches. So let's do 6 inches. Just right here. And I can get 2 strips. My rulers are side by side. I'm 6 right here, would start 1. Let me flip my, here. Let me show you. Which is number 1 right here. And if I go over to 6, 6 is right here, which gives me almost 2 inches of fabric left over. So I have enough to do 2 strips of this. Just so you know, you're not going to be short fabric. Sometimes when you have a piece and you see what it has to do, in your mind you're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm not going to have enough, but you will have enough for this. Just take your time. And that just shifted on me. Let's make sure. Go back over. There we go. And like I said, we need 11 of them, so let's do 6, Boy, I don't bump the camera here. There we go. And there's our 2 strips. And now we're going to make them. And now I don't have a problem layering these 2. I'll put the folds together. Let me make sure, yes. Okay, because I'm going to want to cut this selvage off. Let me line it up here. Move it to the right. See if you can see it. Okay. Go down a little bit here. There we go. And now we can go up 6. And that's what you're going to do, and you're going to continue until you've got 11 of them in that color. Now, after you have 8 of them, if you did what I just did, take them apart. So here's one piece of the 2. There's one. I have the other one on the table. When I get done with the 8, I separate these 2. I'm going to do one here, which is going to give me 10. And I only need 11. So there's 10. And then I'm going to take this one, open it up. You can iron it if you want. I'm going to slide it on my thing here. And then I'm going to cut 1. 6 inches. And that gives me 11. And then I'll iron that. Then I have all of this left over. So I can put that in my stash, okay? Plus I have these strips right here, this strip right here, the first one. So there you go, that's your leftover fabric with it. Should be with all of them because they're all the same size. So just set this aside for your stash and you can use it later. All right, we're all gathered here to learn a little bit about a ruler. This is a fake clock. Now, this is the reason I believe that the children today are not taught how to tell time with a normal watch that we all grew up with. And they're all into analog, and they can't tell the time. So, let me see if I can explain it to you. This is what happens in my mind when I think of a clock. So here's the 12 hand, here's the 3, here's the 6, here's the 9. The distance between the 12 and the 3 is 15 minutes, which is also 1/4, which is also 0.25, which equals 1/4. If you told someone today it's a 1/4 I'm going to make it up now, 1 o'clock, they'd have no clue what you're talking about. None. Unless they're my age, a lot of y'all's age, who knows how to tell time. So all of this information is so confusing for someone. And then you want them to learn about a ruler. Well, I'm going to bring my ruler up here so you can see it. The fabric P wants us to cut 1.75. Okay? A lot of people don't know what that is. So how do you tell somebody, teach somebody what 1.75 is? So not only do they understand that, they understand how you came up with the answer. Because it doesn't help just to have the answer. You need to have a little bit of more information. So I'm going to try to explain it with this ruler here. Move the paper out of there. All right. Here is your 1 inch. I might be better off doing this here. Okay. There we go. So you have 1 inch. This is between every one of these little spots here. And this one you're not going to see because it's white. Let me turn. Would it help if I turned it? Well, all right. We'll go this way with it because it shows all the little black spots. So each one of these little things individually is representing 1/8 if you want to count them all the way from one end to the other. Okay? Between them, there's a little bit longer line which represents a 1/4, because if you add 1/8 plus 1/8, you get 1/4. And that's how you add all of these up. Okay? So, like the hand on the clock, let's go over here to this demonstration here. 1, and we're going to pretend that the 1 is right here because I'm trying to get the black things for you here. So it would be an 1/8, a 1/4, 2/8, a 1/2. Now you're going to, if you don't know what the next 1/8 is, because you didn't keep in your mind, just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/8, 3/4, 7/8, because this counts as 6, this is 7, and 1 whole 1 is 8, because when you do a fraction, 8 over 8 equals 1. Okay? So now you got to go beyond that, because you got to go all the way up to the 2, because 1.75 is before 2. So let's look at our clock here real quick. If from the 12 to the 3 is a 1/4, a 1/4, 15 minutes, and you add on another 15 minutes, now you have 30 minutes, but this is half of the whole thing, because the whole thing is a circle. You split it in half. That's how you get half, which is 30 minutes, because 15 minutes plus 15 minutes is 30 minutes. That's where we get our half, which is 0.50 or 1/2, which also equals, let's see, half pass is another way to say it. Okay? And it goes all the way around the clock like that. So if you add 15, 15, 15, you have 45. That's 3/4. That's 0.75. That's 3/4, because 15 and 1/4 is a 1/4. Just like the money, a 1/4. Add another 15 minutes, another 1/4. 2/4 is 50 cents, which is half. 3/4 is 75 cents. There's your 1.75 we're looking for. So that's 3 of the 4, because here's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so on our ruler, we're going to go with right here. So now that you've reached 1, you're looking for the 75, so 0.75. Here's our 4th. Remember, this is an 1/8, an 1/8, an 1/8, an 1/8. A 4th, a 4th, a 4th. Okay? Okay, so we're going to start at the 1, because we already know from here to here is 1 inch. I went ahead and I drew the little ones at an 1/8, the larger ones at a 4th. So there's the little ones, here's the 1/8. And then when we reached our number 2. So to start is this line. So we say a 1/4, a 1/2, 3/4, and 1. So 3/4 is our 0.75. 3/4, think of 3/4 is 75 cents. So when we cut our fabric P, you're going to put your ruler at 1 3/4, which is on the ruler. And in my case, it's white there. Let's turn this around so you can see the black marks on it. The only problem with that is it's not going to go right, so I guess I'm going to have to leave it at this and show you a little bit higher up. Do you see the white mark right here? That's the 0.75, which is the 3/4. Okay, my teacher mode is over. Thank you very much. You've been a wonderful class. So here is week 1 all cut up. And then let me show you how I set up for my blocks, which we're going to do next. The very first thing that I do is I always keep the sheet that told me what I was doing. All right, so it tells me my fabric number, not number, letter A, what it was, B. All right, it's 2. B. All right, it's 2 blocks. Today we're going to do 1 and 2, and the first one is a half square triangle. Now, in this case, they have given us enough fabric to cut down our half square triangles. That's the first thing I looked at to make sure that if it was shortchanging it for somebody that's new, and shortchanging would be, here's for an example. The half square triangles are going to end up being 3 inches when we're done, but they started out with a 4-inch square, so they've given us an entire inch to play with. After you get it sewn together, you lose 1/4 inch, which means now you have how much? Does anybody know? You have over 3.5 inches to play with. So it's going to be easier to cut this down than if we had to start out with a 3.5 inch block and cut it down to 3. They're giving us a 4-inch to cut down to 3. Because I've seen it before when there were directions that it gave you a 3.5 inch square. You make a half square triangle and then you cut that darn thing down. That gives you a 1/4 inch. But if your 1/4 inch is off, you have a hard time getting that right. And sometimes you can't get it right. So that's what I was going to try to explain, but I don't need to explain it because Fort Worth Fabric Studios is great when they do their explanations and they give enough fabric. They're allowing for the beginner who doesn't know how to do the half square triangles, which I think is fantastic about this company. They're really thinking about the individual themselves that's working on the project. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do this one first. It's going to look like that. And you guys should have all of this paperwork out already. The second one, our half square pinwheel, let's get up here so you can see it, block. And it's going to end up looking like that. So let's go ahead and let's get started. Okay, so you're going to need a ruler, and I've got this ruler here. I don't have a smaller size to cut these blocks down, or your block lock, if you have it. I don't have another smaller size of this one either, but you can use either one of these. It needs to be a square ruler. If not, I'll show you how to do it with another ruler, if you have to. As long as you have an angle like this, you can do it with one of these rulers just like this. I'll show you. Okay. We want to get some marking pen. You can use a pencil. You can use a friction pen. It doesn't make any difference. Whatever you want. Whatever you got. I'm going to use a pink one because it's light. And you're going to mark diagonally on your fabric from the top to the bottom. Make sure that when you use your ruler that you get an oversized ruler because you want it to go from one end to the other. Let me show you down here. So put your pin on that corner right there. Put your ruler down. Hold it. Go down to the other corner. Get it on there. There we go. And then we're going to do this. You can do dashes. It doesn't make any difference, but you want to do it to one piece of the inside of your fabrics. So if you've read the directions and you're following along, you'll see that it said for you to sew on each side of the line that we just made. Well, if you're new and you're going, oh no, I can't do that, I don't know my 1/4 inch, then what you're going to do, let me get closer with this camera, hold on. So I have my ruler here, and this is the Creative Grids, and this right here is 1/4 of an inch. That's the distance of this. Remember the little math thing we had? Here's an 1/8, here's a 1/4. The dotted line is the 1/4. I put it on the left side of the line that I just drew down the middle so that I can actually see the line on the right-hand side of the little dash lines. And then I took another marker, and this is a blue one. Let me back you up a little bit. So I took this blue one here, and I'm going to mark it right down this side. If it works, that is. I might be out of ink. Oh no, I might be out of ink. And then I'm going to flip it over and do the same exact thing. Get it on that left-hand side of that line, right up against it. Butt it up against it. Let's see if my pen will work here. And then I'm going to draw a line. I guess I need another pen. Let's see here. Let's go with this one here. Okay, there we go. And now I have 3 lines. So I have the pink one and the 2 blue ones. Now I'm going to pin it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew on the blue line. This way I won't get confused. The pink line will be my cutting line. Alrighty, so let's do that. Now if you need a leader ender, by all means go ahead and get yourself one. But since we're not really coming off of the tip and we're coming off the side here, it shouldn't go down into your sewing machine. Now I have the single hole plate on my sewing machine. I changed it out because of something else that I was doing. And then you're going to want to sew right on top of that line. If you drew a line. Otherwise you're going to be doing 1/4 inch away from the line that you wrote diagonal. Go ahead and I'm going to cut these apart, turn them around, and re-sew them down the other way. Chain stitch these also. This is the way that we're going to cut them. And you can put it on your rotating board if you want. I do when I do my half square triangles. I just go from end to end and make sure your ruler extends your fabric and cut. So they're going to look like this when they're done. I went ahead and did them to the red instead of the white. Alrighty, so let me show you how to cut them. First, let me get my mat out. First, let me show you with the block lock. So I'm putting it down, and as soon as I pushed it to the left, it got hung up once it hit the groove right there. Here's my 1. There's my 3. Same with this way. So I go all the way down because I want to barely take off the least amount that I can. That's the way I do it all the time. If you mess it up and you do it this way, right now, before you go any further, you do have fabric to replace this block if you bought this kit. If you're not sure and you don't want to do it with this, get yourself 2 pieces of 4-inch squares and do it with that as a practice piece. Now I'm going to slide it down the opposite direction. And that's not going to work, is it? Hold on. I rotated my mat, and I rotated my block. Okay, hold on. That was the other direction, wasn't I? Trying to figure out how I am here. Let's see. Okay, so when I come down, here's my 3s down here. Just play with it a little bit till you get it. So I'm down at the 3 here and the 3 there, and you know I like a little bit more, so I want to be able to see my fabric. So I don't know how the heck I just did it. Let's go this way and this way, and that's it. And I'm going to cut off my little tail end here, this little dog ear, I guess you call it. All right, now that's 1. Let's put that aside. We're going to do it with the regular ruler. Now this is a 5.5-inch ruler. Keep in mind this is only a 3-inch square, but I don't have a 3. Or do I have a 3? Hold on 1 second. Let me go over there and look and see if I do or not. Pretending to be the math teacher with. There you go. That's my 3. I'm so used to using a bigger one. All right, so let me go with a bigger one first because most of you would have a bigger one because you might have used it in your, what's it called? Your fussy cutting. All right, so just like before, you're going to put this diagonal on the line there, and you're going to cut off the minimum. Well, I cut off the minimum, so that's what I do. That gives me lots of room in case I made a mistake. And then I'm going to come down, and you put this back on the diagonal, and you line it up. There you go. And there's the next one. Okay, I made that too big, and I'm going to show you why. This is the 3-inch, and when I laid it over there, look at that. So I didn't cut off enough. So let's do it again here. So go down to the 3. Somehow I did the 3. What did I do? What did I do? What did I do? I did 3 1/4. Okay, go down to the 3. I know what it is. My little arrow. My 2 little arrows that I'm so used to seeing, they're up at the 3 1/4 and the 3 1/2. They're not down here at the 3. So it threw me off. Okay. So let's take it off and take it off. There we go. Now we got it. Here's my other piece. There's that piece. There we go. Now we're going to do the little one. So let's move this aside. Let's get another square over here. And here's our little guy, or little gal, whatever you want to say. So I'm making sure that I'm off the bottom here, because you know this is a smaller ruler now. So you want to be careful. And there. And now I'm going to flip my ruler. Now I could have slid my ruler down, but I'm not going to. Alrighty, so I'm going to come down here to the 3. And it's got the little mark that I like. I'll show you here in a minute what I'm looking at, so you can see what I'm looking at too. And here's what I'm looking at, is these little things right here. That's what I look at. And I put that in the corner, those little black, the little spot right there, like a dash, or like a flying goose, or an arrow. Alright, so I did it with that one. Put that one aside. Now if you don't have a square ruler, and you don't know how to do it, let's do it this way. So you get your ruler. Oh, and it's been a long time since I've done it this way, but you're going to put your 45-degree diagonal on it. You're going to cut off a little bit, just like we did before. Okay, so on this ruler, let me see if you can see it. Yeah, see the little black buttons? They're the half points. This is this is a half, 1 1/2, 2 1/2, 3 1/2. So my 3 mark is right up here. Because the main thing is you've got to keep this line going down the halfway between this block and this block. I mean, that's what you're trying to line up this block and this block to equal the same amount on each side. You don't want the white one a little bit bigger than the red one. You want them the same size. So I'm going to go down to the 3, which is right there. And here's the 3, because this is the 3 1/2. This is the 3 1/2. So that's my 3. And if you have this kind of ruler and you need to put washi tape on it, or painter's tape or whatever, then you can do that if it'll help you out. And then whichever way that I just showed you, whatever's the easiest for you, the most convenient, whatever tool you have, that's the one you want to use. Now, my preference is either the little one or the bigger one, and I'm used to the bigger one, so that's what I'm going to use. So go ahead, do yours, and then we'll be back. Now we're going to lay out our blocks like this. Take your 3-inch white, put it on the left. Take one of your half square triangles, put the red fabric or whatever fabric you have facing downward. Then you're going to take another half square triangle and you're going to meet the colors. You want them to be together like a bow tie. And then you're going to take your G, whatever fabric you're using if you're not following along with the kit, and you're going to put it together like that, and we're going to make 4 of them. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make these 2 first. So I'm going to put them like this, and I sew where I can see this fold so that it does not get hung up underneath my sewing machine. So that's face up for me, and it's right sides together. Remember, now we're sewing 1/4 inch. If you need to mark your fabric 1/4 inch on here, then by all means go ahead and do that. And then when I do this one, I'm going to flip it upside down so I can see it. And I'm going to pin it. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do all 4 so that when we're done, we can just chain stitch them together. So there's 2. And I'm going to do the same thing again. 1, 2, 3, that's the top, to the white. 1, 2, 3, fold it over, fold it over, fold it over. I'm going to pin them all. I'm going to do the bottom. 1, 2, 3. This goes upward. 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to pin these. And then we're going to chain stitch them. So I have them all pinned, and now we're going to go ahead and chain stitch them. And like I said, if you believe that you need a leader ender, go ahead and get one. Okay, that one is too short. That didn't even make a, I don't know if that even made the 1/8 of an inch. Here we go. Let's do it again. There we go. Now we're going to iron these all open before we attach them. And remember now, you want 1 seam iron to the left and 1 iron to the right so that they can nestle. Let's have a refresher course on how to do this. Take your iron, here's my seam up here at the top. I made them all up at the top so they're easier to see. And you relax your seam just like this. I believe you can see these 4 in the camera. You lift it up, and then you iron it like that. Now, this is the bottom left, the bottom right. It's going to go like this. So I took this seam and I went in with it to the left. So let me see here. I'm trying to make sure that I should be going to the left and not to the right, but hold on and I'll tell you. Nope, I need to go the opposite direction. I'm going to tell you why here in a minute. So right now I have it going towards here, which is a bulk. I don't want it to go to that. So in order to have it go this direction, I'm going to re-iron it. And then the side that you want your fabric to go to is the fabric that you lift up. So when I lift this up, it's going to come on this side, which is what I want. It's going to go like that. And then I'm going to show you why. So let me move this aside here so I can show an example. Here's the bottom, like I said. This is going to be the top piece. So the top piece is going to go like this, because remember it matches. So if this one goes that way, then this one has to go this way, which means it'll go that direction to the white, and it won't have all the bulk on it. So that's what you want, the least amount of bulk that you can have. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take these, we're going to fold them over, and we're going to nestle them. So you're going to get it in the corner here, put your seams together, and then you're going to put a pin in it. Because this is the way I put underneath my sewing machine. I come down like that, and I don't want this pulled over when I come down. And then I'll put one on the right and one on the left, because this is going, this end here that has the bulk on it, right there, it's actually going down. So when I sew it, it's not going to get caught. This would be the end that gets caught right here. So we'll put a pin on it, and we can go diagonal with the pin, because we'll take it out before we get to it. And that's the way we're going to do them. So go ahead and do all yours like that. Do you need to see it again? Somebody raised their hand in the back and said they need to see it again. Okay. So we're going to press it that way. And then we want it to go towards here, so we have to lift this one up. These are just little tricks of the trade that you just need to keep it in your mind. And it's the bottom right. And then I want to get this one. And I want it to go to the white. So I'm going to lift it up like this. These are going to face each other like a little bow tie. And let's see here. Let's see how close I can get with you guys to show you here. And this is the way we're going to nestle it. You're going to look at it like there. And you're going to put this white right up against that, like that. And hold it tight with your fingers. Put a pin in it, like that. And then go to this end. Put a pin in it. Go to the other end. This is the one that I put a diagonal pin in a minute ago. Like this. Alright, and so that's what we're going to do with the next two. So go ahead and do it. Let's just go ahead and chain stitch these. Open. We're going to press them just like we did before. All right, look at that gorgeous thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to sew this together, and then this to this, and then this to this, and this to this, this to this, this to this, and then we're going to end up with 3 rows. So let's do that. And I'm going to teach you something while we sew these together. And let me show you. Now normally you would take it like this, and you'd put your pin end to end. But here's going to be an issue. If you do that and you've gypped yourself right here, you'll take the tip off by accident. So what we're going to do is we're going to go like this, and we're going to pin it on the top left. And then we're going to, and yours should equal the same size there. Now in this case, let me see if I can show it to you. Get my little pick. And this is what you're looking at right here. You're looking at this spot right here. This is where the intersection is. If you come down, you've taken the tip off of this star. So we want to stay above that line. So we're going to mark our fabric right there. And I'm going to show you how. The spot is, I'm going to show you, here's my threads coming up here. Here's my thread right here. And that's the X we're looking at. So you're going to take your pin, because you do not want to come below where my finger's at. So I'm going to put my finger right there, and then I'm going to make a mark. I'm going to take my ruler, And I'm going to mark on the left and the right, or the top and the bottom, however you want to say that. Then you're going to put your pin in here, just like this. Like that. And you're going to put your pin at the other end down here. And then you're going to sew it from up there. You're going to come on down and you're going to go right across that, and we're not going to lose any tips. Now we're going to mark the other the same exact way, because everything needs to be marked to keep from losing our tips. All right, so we're going to do the easy little square, which is the middle piece first. That won't take anything to do. And now we're going to start on the first one here. Alrighty, let's take a look at our tips here. See how we did. Alrighty, there's the first one. We didn't lose it. It's blending right into that red. Here's the other one, and we didn't lose it either. So that's pretty good. So now let's go ahead and pin the other two. Easy peasy piece in the middle. This is what you should have. Now I made my white go in, and then these reds went out, and then the whites go in so that we can nestle them. And then we're going to have to do the same thing. So when we pick this up here and flip it over there, we don't sew it on this side because, I'll flip it over here for you. We'll lose our tips again. We have to mark this one and this one. We have two of them to mark. And your fabric right there to keep from going over the tips, although I don't pay attention to my marking. You know that from the last time. But go ahead and line it all up. And if you notice here, even though my thread is pink, the bobbin is white, which is this right here. So I went ahead and I marked it pink. So I actually have an X there. You can do that too. And it doesn't need to be in pink. It can be in some other color if you want it. All right, let's sew this. Let's take a look at it. Nope, no tips gone. All right, let's take a look here. Okay, there's my corners. Right up to the edge, but they're not off. So now I'm going to pin the other side. You can see it's got a little bit there. There's the tip over here. Fabric turned a little bit. There we go. Tip not missing there. So now I'm going to iron it. It is, and it is absolutely gorgeous. Isn't that something? Let's go on to that second block. It's going to be just as pretty. Let's get going. Okay, so now what the directions are saying is that you're going to take all the A's, which are right here, and you got a stack of them. You're going to take all, let's see, you got 8, and you have 8 between this, because you're going to have, this is D, E, F. You have 4 D's, 2 E's, 2 F's, which equal 8, and you're going to connect them to these squares. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw my diagonal line on the back, just like before we did it. And let's go ahead and do all that, and then we're going to come back. And before we even come back, let's see, how many do I have? I have 1. So we're going to take the A, which is that 2 by 3.5, 3.5. The 2 by 3.5. Oh my goodness, I can't get that out of my head. Okay, get 3 out of there. So we're going to take the 5.5 by 2 and connect it to the 2 inch, and then connect it to the 5.5 again. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to sew that right off the bat. That's the strip, which is figure 5 in the paperwork. And I'm just going to set it aside, and then I'm going to make all of my half square triangles. So let's do that and mark them up, because this won't take any time at all, because it's sort of like first block was like an example, and the second one is having you do all those half square triangles that you learned the first time around. The only difference between all of these half square triangles is that I put a dash line down the middle this time, and then a straight line on the right and the left of the dash line. The dash line is my cutting line. I just kept it all in the same color. So let's cut all yours apart. We're going to iron them, and then I'm going to show you again how to square them up before we put this together. All right, let's do the lock block first. Put your fabric down. Put your ruler on here so that it grabs it in the middle. We're going to do the minimum. We're taking off the minimum. That's the first thing we're doing. Okay. Now, I'm going to turn my table. If you don't have one of these, not my table, my mat. If you don't have a mat, turn the whole entire thing. Take the ruler, pull it down, and then when you get to 3, right there is 3, you're going to cut off the excess. That's it. That's the block lock. I'm not sure if the last time I explained it, it was confusing or not, but this is the easiest way to remember it. Let's do it one more time. Take our fabric, lay it down here, put our block on it. It's caught right now. See, doesn't want to get off at all. Go down. We're going to do the minimum. We're taking the minimum off so that we can take that little tail off. There you go. And when you're at home, you know, I'll show you here. You can put your arm like this. In your case, you can go like that, and then you can go like this, but then I'm blocking the whole camera. All right. Turn the whole thing just like this. Bring it down just like that. Down to the 3. 3 here, a 3 there. Then I have to turn it for you. There you go. That's it. Okay? That's the lock block. So if you have that tool or you're thinking about getting it, okay. If you find, I mean, that's the easiest way to do it. Now, let's go to the next tool. We're going to go to the teeny weeny one. This is the one that's 3.5, because we only want a 3-inch block. Make sure you find your diagonal line. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to take the least amount off. That's what you're trying to do. Take off the least amount. Then it leaves you a lot more to play with. Turn it all the way around. Pick it up. I turn around the ruler. Go back down to the 3. Make sure my hand's not in the way here. Go down to 3. Just like that. Hold it down on there. Go up. And up. Okay, that's the little square. The big square is the same thing. The little one, I'm sorry. Sorry about that. I just hit the table with my hand. All right, so the big one, it's just got more ruler to play with. You're still finding your diagonal. You're taking off the least amount, just like before. Turn it all the way around. You're putting your dog ear up at the top. Take your ruler, turn it around, go down to the 3. Make sure this stays right here in the middle. Because remember now, you're getting both sides of that. You want both of your fabrics equal for the size. There you go. And then if you don't have that kind of ruler and you only have this kind of ruler, then we're going to do this one. And then on this one, here's my 1, 2, 3. You're doing the diagonal again. Let's do, let's see here. Okay. I could just go ahead and do, here's a white diagonal. I don't know if y'all can see the white or not. Let me see. Yeah, you can see it. Okay, so we're going to do the least amount, just like before. Okay, so my 1 through 3 goes this way, my 1 through 3 goes that way, even though this ruler is an 8.5 in length. Okay, we'll take this off. We're going to rotate it. We want our little ear up here. I'm going to turn the ruler just like we did before. I lost my white, here's my white line. It's like, well, I lost my white line. Okay. And then we're going to take it down to the 3. So all the way down to 3. We got the 3 here. We got the 3 there. We're on this line right here, this diagonal line. That's very important. If you're not on it, you're going to be crooked. Your little block will be crooked. Let's put it that way. And on this one, I'm going to take a little bit more off of here, but after I get it off of this side. Okay, let's do this. Okay, 3, 3, come down a little bit. There we go. That's a little bit better 3 on this side. Okay, that's it for that. Okay, so go ahead and get them all done. And then when you're done, we're going to put it together. Okay, so this is the way it's laid out. Now, what you're looking at is, this is 2 white ones, 2 red ones. 2 white ones, 2 red ones. So that's how you're going to set up the blocks. And then what we're going to do is we're going to fold them over and sew them. And we don't have to worry about any points yet on this. So go ahead, and just like before when we sewed them, you're going to do this, and this, and that, and that. Just like that. Both sides. And then when we're done, we'll have rows to do. But this is exactly like it was the last time. So go ahead and sew all of those. So here is the tricky part on this one. Go ahead and you got them all sewed up. Before you pin them, I'm going to show you. You want to go ahead and mark your fabric just like before. But because this side here has the same thing, how do you avoid having that one, the tip of it, be cut off? This is how you do that. So you take your pin and put it through right here where you've marked it. Go to the other side and look at it. Can't even get it through the other side. Here we go. And you want it to come up so it is right on this tip. See that tip right there? Right there. So when you have it through, then you take it, and now you want to put the needle through this tip right here. Okay, because you're nestling these. Oops, I didn't get my fabric the other direction. Hold on one second. Let's turn it that way. So when I do it, there we go. So this way, the bottom will be going to the left, the top will be going to the right. So you nestle it up there. You keep the pin as straight as you can. And then take your pin, and then you're going to put it in here. But be sure to go in at an angle now. Don't do it this way. Don't go down and like that, because you'll pull this fabric. You don't want to pull it. You want it to be straight, just like it is. So you're going at an angle. Just like that. And that pin will be sticking out there. Now you can take this pin out. And now you're going to go to the left, and you're going to pin this. You're going to go to the right hand side, And you're going to pin that one. And then that's the way it's going to look. And you're going to go across that top pin just like before. Let's do another one. Pin. You're going to put it through here. Then you can look at the other side and see that it came out correctly. See it right there? And then you're going to take your next fabric and you're going to put it right through the top there so you don't lose your tip. And it came out there. And then you're pushing that through because you're wanting to get this straight, like that. And that's good. Then you take your pin and go straight down with it at an angle like this. I don't know if it caught the back. It did not catch the back. Because you don't want to turn your fabric. The pin is still straight back there. See it? Now we can take that pin out. Let's go over here to the left. Pin it. I'm going to go to the right. And I'm going to pin this one. And then we're going to slowly sew it. Now if you're worried about it, go ahead and make your stitch length longer, because you can always take it out then. Okay, here we go. Let's hope we don't get any tips. You have to tug a little bit on it, which is fine. Now let's take a look at them. See if we have to redo any of them. Looks pretty good. We didn't cut any tips off. A little piece of thread right there. That's good. Let's go with the next one. Take a look at it. That looks good. We probably could have went down a little lower on that one. See how it's, the tip is like right there. I'll look and match it up with the other block. We have this one here, looks good. And that one there looks good. So they all do look good. All right, let me get them ironed. Pin these to the white. I sewed these wrong and had to take it all out and rework it. I don't know what I was thinking. These are identical to the last one, the last block we did. We're putting our little white strips. Those 2 by 5.5. I'm going to take a look at it. Looks good. Looks good. Now we're going to pin it to the other side. Just like the last block, you're going to go ahead and you're going to pin the top row to that next row. And make sure that your things are going the right direction. Oops, I forgot to mark this one, didn't I? Or did I? Oops, I did. Alright, I need to stop here and mark it real quick. Right there where the two meet. I don't know how I missed that one. I did this one too. What the heck? Yeah, let's just stop and do it real quick. Oh, I know what happened. That went the other directions. That's what got me. Okay. Oh, let me stop without taking it out here. Put a pin in it. There we go. There we have it. Now I can mark it. Okay, and I got that one. I don't know why I missed it. Be sure to not miss those. Those are a heck of a lot. That's 1, 2, 3. It looks like all 4 of them. So everywhere except the ends are going to have to be marked. Well, unless you don't mark yours, but I always mark mine. I just don't know how I managed to miss marking it. And the other one. Alrighty, so I went ahead and I had sewed this once, but when I laid it out, I didn't like the way it looked. So I took it apart. I repinned it. I sewed this far, took a look at it. I like it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finish sewing this one, which is the top half, and then I'll sew the bottom. So let's go ahead and continue. When you do this kind of thing where you've stopped, when you've sewn and then you took it out, you don't have to lock it in place. All you have to do is go back over the part that you stitched, like about ½ an inch or more. My stitching stopped right here. My stitching stopped right here, and there's my needle, so that's about a ½ inch. And that's all you got to do. I mean, it's not going to come out or anything, because it's just like locking it in. And then just, let's see here. I'm trying to find out where my stitch is, because I did not mark it on this one. Alrighty, here we go. So of course I already have my stitches there. I think I had to go over a little bit more, but we're going to see when we go through here. I'll find out in a minute. Put my lift, automatic lift on there. And I do have this next one marked. I think I've been working on this part 1 for 3 days now. Okay, so now I like this a lot better. It doesn't have all those puckers it had in it like it did before. I'm going to show it to you real quick before I iron it. Let me put it on the table here. There it is. And then we'll get this piece up against it here. That's going to look pretty nice when we get it done. All right, let me go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and iron this piece, and then I'm going to pin this piece and mark it. So let me show you something else. And the reason I'm doing it is because normally, like on this corner here, well, not this corner, but this piece, you would fold it that way because here's where your marking is, your crosses, but I don't want it to go that way. That's too much bulk. So this is what I do. So the very first thing I need to do is go, where is the part right here that I need to see? Because remember now, this is where we're going to put our little stitch. It's going to go above this spot right here where the stitches cross over. But you can't see that on this side. So the way that I do it is first, make sure you can see it there. So I take a look at it here. And I go ahead and I mark it with my, I'm going to go ahead and put first my lines that has my, whoops, these are my stitch lines. So I know it's right here. So I'm coming out. I'm going to go ahead and go over that. Okay. So first, act like you're going to do it on this side, but this is not the side we're doing on. We're just going to pretend we're doing it on here. So let's get our line up and go all the way off, just like this. See, I made a pretty good sized line there. That's almost 2 inches. Flip this back over, and now that you have the line drawn on this side as well as that side, just grab it from here and come over with the line. And then you've met the line, even though this is going to be folded the opposite direction. Now take your pin. If it was in the fabric, I don't have it yet, I'm marking all of it first, and then you can take it and put it in like that. Now let's say you don't want all that bulk. Okay, you don't have to have it. If you want to open this, you can open it up let's see, like this. Well, maybe, there we go. Open it like this. Take your ruler. Oops, now I've lost my pen here. Just like that. I know, all these darned old threads. I was like, where do they all come from? Let me clip them off here. If I had been thinking about it, I'd have done all this before I got on this. Okay, here we go. And put it up like that. I'd start right here in the middle and join it. And join it. So now you've got it like that. So then you can put a needle on both sides, and this is open. So no matter whether you can see the spot or not, you can get across that without taking that tip off. Okay? Now we're going to go down here, and this one's okay because I want that to go this direction. Mark the sewing line again, just so I can see it. This is the spot I want to do right there. I don't want to go below that. That's my spot. So take my pen and mark it. Let's go down to the other end. This is the last one. And I want to go this way with it, and I'm going to mark the X. There's my, and there's the spot I want right there. Guess I ought to get in the camera so y'all can see. Here's the spot. And then just, there we go. Now it's all marked, and now all I've got to do is connect it. And this is the bottom piece. Here's the top. Let me back up a bit. Here's my top piece. Here's my bottom piece. These are going to go in towards the square on the center. We're going to fold that over, and this is the part we're pinning. So just start at an end and work our way down. And usually what I do, since these right here have to have, they've got to be nestled. I was going to say snuggled. Okay, they got to be nestled. So I do those first. Just like this. And I'll put 2 in it because it's bulky right there. Go right over here to the next one. And let's see. I'm going to go this direction. So let me, I'm thinking, should I split it? Maybe I need to move this one to the left. All right, so I'm going to go to the right with the back one and the left with the front one. There we go. That's right there. Pin that one. I'm going to go ahead and pin it twice. And then go over here to the very tail end, because we want our block size correct. And then pull a little taut like that. That's the part we're staying over. Go over to the right. Do the corner first. Then come back and do the other piece. And you can put as many pins as you want in here, because that's what I'm going to do. So go ahead and finish pinning that. Go ahead and sew this last one so we can finish up this block. There's our block, and what a beautiful block it is. I'm going to put them both up here on the design board so you can look at them. There's block number 1, half square triangle star block, and then half square triangle pinwheel block. I hope you enjoyed this video and you had fun and you actually learned something. If you didn't learn anything, it doesn't make any difference, but hopefully you did. This is just the way that I do it. Let me back it up a little bit. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, click the little bell so you can catch the next week, which is next Monday. And we'll be back to do the next block. I'll see y'all then. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching.